to another strongman right now, which is Modi in India, and having a 250 million people participate in a countrywide strike in India. Despite police repression and the COVID-19 pandemic, workers and farmers and their allies across India participated in the Pan-India strike action against the recent neoliberal reforms pushed through by Narendra Modi's government. Thursday, November 26, India witnessed the biggest organized strike in human history. Over 250 million workers and farmers, along with their allies among students, feminists, and civil society groups, participated in the nationwide strike. The strike coincides with India's Constitution Day, which commemorates the adoption of the Constitution in 1949, and comes in the background of an unprecedented attack on workers' rights and farmers' protections by the right-wing government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So they say right-wing, and it's kind of neoliberal. What's actually happening? I'm going to explain exactly what's happening. It has to do with agricultural and grain prices, but the strike was organized by a coalition of workers and farmers movements with 10 national trade confederations and umbrella groups. So women's rights groups, student unions, and various civil society organizations also participated in this strike, and they basically blocked off roads to Delhi, which is the most relevant part. They basically just cut off the roads in a lot of places, and you can see here in the picture, they have water cannons going at them. They're basically really trying to separate, to set that the grain prices that are happening right now, they're trying to stop privatization. It's hard to talk about, but they do not want a non-socialist government. It seems like there is a fight happening right now in India between having a semi-socialized government where the grain prices were settled at a certain rate, and then now being able to just sell that to whoever, which means that most likely privatization is just going to come in and overrun them. And they believe that, and I believe as well, but they believe that Modi is basically kneeling to corporate companies that are coming in and trying to find a way to bring in that money, basically.
Yeah. That's happening everywhere, like you said earlier, right? That's happening here. It's happening everywhere. It's just worse.
Yeah, I mean,
when the economy, like at least there's some countries that have like in regards to the amount of money like we make as individuals. I think I'm okay. I mean, I'm not rich, I'm not poor, but then you have a lot of countries that are suffering way worse than we are, and then they have to still deal with privatization, like where things are just going to raise prices and make it harder for them. Like that, privatizing stuff in India is not going to make it easier for these people, and that's scary, man. I don't know, man. Like, and this is a sign. If you have 250 million people, you said? Yeah, 250
yes.
million people.
Yes, that many people were
That's a
involved
lot
with
of
this
people.
strike.
There's a lot of people that are upset in regards to this, and you would think the government would acknowledge that, but I guess they want to just blast them with water cannons, right? Like, they're down, get down, listen, obey.
It's a very, I hate to say it, it's a very Americanization of how to deal with things now, is to deal with it with, maybe it's not American, maybe this is a warfare tactic, and maybe that's more important, that it's actually a warfare tactic to just blast people with cannons, make sure that they kneel as much as possible, because it's a lot of farmers groups. I mean, you can't ignore this group of people, but at the same time, they don't want to incite heavy violence yet. That would cause such a debacle that sooner or later that would kick Modi out of office. He's fairly popular. I mean, it's important to know that in these countries, even all of these strongmen are really popular.
I don't understand.
Bolsonaro is still 60% in most of these areas.
I don't understand, like, why people can't. I don't know, man. It's depressing seeing
It's complicated. That's why I talk about these international issues, because I feel like most of the times when we're listening to a lot of these podcasts and stuff that we listen to, we end up on national news all day long. And yeah, we could talk about
No, I
how
like it.
annoying it is.
I think we need to do it. I think everybody, like we spoke about it before. We wanted to talk to people from different cities and states or whatever, to kind of get like different perspectives of what's going on in our country. It's the same thing with the world. You know, there's certain things we all can relate to, and to see what they're going through and the cause and effects of what they're doing. uh, we can kind of relate it here. I think we have farmers here as well. You know, if we're seeing what's happening there, we can kind of say, well, look at what's happening here, and decide whether or not we're being treated fair or not. You know, or if they're being treated fair or not in comparison to how we're being treated. You know, you got to have a compare and contrast point. You know what I mean? For you
Mhm.
to determine what's going on. And when I see 250 million people upset about something, there's something obviously wrong. It's not like 10, 12 people, you know, a dozen people or whatever it is complaining about something. It's 250 million people. That's huge. And I don't know, man. It's sick, man. It's all about power, man. At the end of the day, the people in power, and I'm not trying to say it's an easy job to do what you got to do, and you got to make some really harsh decisions, and a lot of people have to suffer during those harsh decisions. But this is bad, man. And what's happening in this country is horrible. You know, they've screwed over our farmers here too. You know, they screwed over our workers. They got people working through COVID and acting as if like COVID is nothing here. You got all these people, 250,000 people, 250 million, I'm sorry, people out here
Yeah, 50
protesting
million.
during COVID. Like this is not going to help them either. I'm sure these people are getting sick in the process of doing this as well. So like I don't know, man. Like they say religion in general is supposed to be there for people. If I know like each religion has their form of belief of to treat each other fairly and to love each other and help each other. The government obviously they say separate religion and politics and so on and so forth. That's obviously true because they obviously don't care that these people are going through this. Because if they had any type of religious sense, I'm not saying I want religion and politics, but you would think that they talk all about praise God, praise this, God bless you during their speeches and so on. God bless America, God bless whatever country they're in. But then they don't show their concern or compassion towards
That's
their
action versus rhetoric. I mean,
yeah
that's what that really is. I mean, you
yeah
can say a lot of things about religion, but religion either has action or it has rhetoric.
you,
And
you, yeah
like I don't even want to say religion has action. I think that religion in itself is rhetoric.
yep
What it is that you can have people who are spiritual beings and able to do spiritual actions for other people and really be there for other people.
yep
And I think that's what we sometimes call religion, but I think that that is actually separate. I actually think that the rhetoric is the religion part, and the
yeah
rest is about personal interactions and understanding how to deal with people, talk to people, make other people's lives better. And
yeah
if that is what you're going for, that is kind of it's lumped into religion in some ways. It's something that you've learned from some of these lessons. I would say that, but it's not necessarily this. It's not the same. They're not aligned. You can learn these things without having religion there.
yeah
So it's that's why spirituality is like what I like to call it
yeah
because
yeah.
I feel like they can be separated.
Do you see though how crazy it is? Like these people are suffering, and
Oh
who
yeah,
wants to get
absolutely.
hosed down by a water cannon, man?
Oh
That would
yeah.
just
I mean,
enrage me even more. I'm like, how in
I
the
mean, this
hell?
is happening actually across the globe. It's happening in China where they're getting cannoned with basically like slick. It's not like oil per se, but it's like a paint. So basically, that you get tagged later, so
So they
that
know
the
that you were
police.
involved with something. Yep, yep, yep.
Yep.
That's crazy. So why you getting you for pro? They even in this country they're talking about protesters being and it's funny because it's usually what is it conservatives complaining about people protesting, but now all of a sudden they're protesting about Trump and it's okay. Unless it
Oh yeah.
suits their needs, it's funny, man. It's hilarious. It's I
Protest
mean,
is it is protest is inconvenient until it's convenient for you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Have they said anything about people getting killed during the? Because I didn't read much about this. Did
No,
anybody
I
during?
think that they said that this was relatively non-violent when I looked into the article. So that's good. That's
Yeah.
generally this is this is like a real general strike. So this almost like is an incentive for us to start trying to do these as real general strikes. And I get it. We don't want to do there's multiple reasons. Like America, like they shouldn't be so close together. Like COVID is a problem right now, and the idea of doing this is going to cause some problems. And but we need to have people go out on the streets and literally say we can't have this. But it's not the right time right now in America.
Look at
I
all
have
these.
to understand.
Look at all
Yeah,
these people without masks, man.
yeah.
Like here they have them.
So it's just not the time in America for this, unfortunately. And I only say that because we can't go out in the streets like this and have a general strike. There's so many people who are unemployed that we can have like Black Lives Matters movements, which are more targeted, but we don't have anything to target other than that right now. Like right now, we're all in a hope cycle about Biden. That's what we're trying to do
Yeah.
as a people. Even if you're a Democrat and you're super leftist and you're not happy about Biden being your president, but you think that there's a better chance of your goals happening now than you did when Trump was in office or
Yeah.
would have been in office. That's just the truth.
What suck?
I am afraid of war. I'm very much afraid of more
Yeah.
warfare.
Yeah, what scares me right now is the fact that we couldn't strike if we wanted to, because the majority of the people that are working are essential workers, things that we need
Yes.
in order for things to keep going. Walmart, what is it, Amazon? I mean, I'm not proud of them making all the money or whatever, but they're the ones keep, places like ShopRite and supermarkets or whatever. If they did a strike, it would screw the people that are not working over, that need their food and so on and so forth. Just in general, it's essential workers. So like, yeah, we would screw over a couple companies that are monopolizing everything anyway, and it would probably get a point across. But then you're also going to put a lot of people's lives and other things in jeopardy. Like, maybe a 1 day strike might be okay, but even that, it's like, how long can you hold that? You can't keep it.
It's a bit performative at that point. It's a little bit performative,
Yeah.
and I think that you can do these strikes in groups, like groups of things that make sense. But I don't know right now what
Would be
those
effective.
keyholes are.
Yeah,
Amazon is like one of those ones you want to strike, but you can't because right now everybody's getting their packages. Everybody's getting their packages. That hustle is something that is very hard for us to turn down either way, because taking that 1 day away is just going to get people fired more
Yep.
than it's going to stop them from grinding
Yep.
grinding the mill with them.
Yep. That's a shame, man. It's like they grab. It's
Very
crazy,
hard. I
man.
feel like we're not in a very hopeful place, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's why we voted in Biden, right? If they
Yeah,
felt like, if we were in a position where it was Biden was the current president, or somebody else was the current president that had some kind of normal sense, and we were in this position, then we might have went with somebody with like Bernie, because Bernie would have been like, okay, well, we had somebody that was, like we have a buffoon right now, so people were willing to settle. People didn't want to go too far left, right? Because they were afraid that if we went too far left, we'd go even more bankrupt than we currently are, right? So they're like, let's go to Biden. We know that Biden's like Obama, and Obama was okay, right? We did all right with Obama, right? But now they also realize, like, a lot of people don't have health care. A lot of people are in having financial issues and not getting paid or whatever. Bernie would have done something about it. I'm not saying Bernie's perfect, because like I hear stories about things about Bernie and how he was during.
I hear more about his campaign and like his own personal the
Yeah.
way he is, but I don't see it's not policy. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's the thing that always rejects me from all of that talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have I think that you could say that his campaign did not run that well enough. They did not run their campaign well enough. End of story. I don't think that has to do with the ground movement. And I think there are legitimate people who are in the movement who have said stuff that they know that he's a little cantankerous. You know,
Mm.
he wants certain things certain ways. Also, he is probably not as good with knowing what can happen in his time.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think that all the things that he proposed that can happen all at the same time. But I don't think that it would have been. I think that he walked that line fine enough. It just wasn't a good enough
Even if he,
campaign.
even if he won in the current condition of like we lost seats in the in Congress,
Congress, yeah.
and you know we might not get sent the Senate, so it wouldn't have mattered. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like if
Yes.
we lose both of those, plus the judges, the Supreme Court, but like we really don't have much, even if we had Bernie, which sucks. We just got to
Yep.
hope that in the next 4 years, somebody, you know, with some potential to do something like that can, you know,